probably literally the thing that popped in my head was the first walkthrough we've ever done out here back in 23. I think it was phase 2. I think legally that's when you can first get out there. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize. That's April. But no, it seriously was that. It was. I'll never forget that first day. And like, I'm still kind of obviously playing catch up with a guy that's been here for 3 years and won a Super Bowl, or 2 years going into his third year at that point, and just how fluid that walkthrough went, and how he was able to rattle off plays. Obviously, it wasn't like a game plan or anything, but it still was pretty intense, if you will. And so in that moment, even though I knew he was pretty dang smart, that was just very eye-opening to, like, hey, we better be on it too for him.
What difference does it make when, obviously the smarter you are, the better, but when you have a quarterback who not only has the physical skills, but has, I guess, that mind when you see him in the middle of the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and it's through time, through experiences too, right? I mean, he's had a lot of plays out there on the grass on Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays. So, and he's got just kind of that photographic memory, if you will. I mean, he can remember stuff that's happened probably dating back to when he was in Pop Warner, and he's learned from those experiences, and obviously being different in the league. So it's a unique deal, but that's why he's one of the best to ever play this game, and we're all. Again, I hope none of us are taking it for granted what we get to see each and every week.
Parents has talked about how Matthew's communication has really helped them connect on these last few weeks on some of the big plays they were just missing on earlier in the season. What stands out about the way Matthew communicates with receivers?
Yeah.
Like in between snaps?
Yeah, I think in between snaps out there in the practice field, on the sidelines, in the meeting rooms, he's able to, we give him, kind of the intent of a play. You give them guidelines from a coaching perspective, and then they got to go out and do it and execute it. And, he's able to talk to these guys but not, overly say anything where they can still go out and play fast. He gives them one or two pointers on kind of what he's thinking and what he's seeing, and it's extremely easy to understand what he's asking from them, and they're able to go out there and do it as long as they can comprehend what he's asking. And like I said, usually it's pretty simple in what he's asking.
Most of the time during training camp, he wasn't out there this year. It seemed like he was standing by you and Dave a lot. What kind of insight did you hear him, like when he's having those conversations with his teammates, him pointing out things like that?
Yeah, just kind of what I was just saying right there. I mean, he's always just in it. So even if he wasn't in the plays in late July and in August, he was still mentally trying to take those reps. And that's what's so cool about him. I think I was asked it last week or 2 weeks ago. I mean, there's so many things that you don't take for granted from this guy, but his consistent preparation, whether it be, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday during the season, getting himself, in those final stages on Saturday going into Sunday, or even in training camp at LMU. It's always he's always, just doing his thing to make sure that when he's up, he's prepared, feeling as good as he can.
I know there's been a lot of moving parts on the offensive line these last couple of weeks, but what was your evaluation of their play on Monday?
Yeah, I mean, first I want to give credit to Atlanta. I thought they did some really good stuff with their front. I mean, they were chopping it up pretty good, and they made it challenging in some ways. I thought, our guys, battled their butts off. We know it wasn't our finest hour, and credit to them for on that night beating us. Be great learning experiences for us going forward. Luckily, that wasn't a game that knocked us out of the playoffs by any means. We still get to play, obviously, this Sunday and work to win that, and then we'll worry about the playoffs when we get there. But good learning experiences for us, and we'll only be better from it.
Sean's talked a lot about those learning opportunities as well. Just what specifically, are the most significant ones that came out of that game?
I mean, there was a lot. I thought it was we've played pretty good football for, the better half since the bye. And even before the bye, we were playing, I wouldn't call it great football, but we were playing, winnable football. And so that game, there just was from every facet, every player, every coach, it was a collective effort of not playing winning football, So I think it's just, hey, pointing those things out, doing your 111th, handling your job, doing your job within your position, within your, the unit. And when we do that, I think we all see, what that clip looks like. So, again, credit to them. The defense has to say. Those guys were ready to freaking go, and they got us that day. But, sometimes those things can be better moving forward that we had to go through that.
We've seen a lot of fast starts and a lot of success this year with this team. What prevented that in the last game, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we have. I want to say, in our first quarter points, especially compared to the year before, which was brutally bad, we've done a really good job, of starting fast. 3 and outs kill us, kill any team, and so having that 3 and out, it was a great job by Matthew, recognizing the pressure. Mump just ended up being, an inch or two short, and next thing you know, you're punting. And it felt, it wasn't even a long drive by Atlanta, but it felt like we were off the field for a minute there, time-wise, and then you get back out there and you have a, pretty sustainable drive, and a little miscue on 4th and 1, so now you're kind of behind right there, and so it just was one of those days. Again, I'm not going to get into the total specifics because I don't even want to put out there what we're telling our guys about what we did right and what we did wrong. It was just again, a lot of correctable moments.
Kyren told us he's basically playing through a high ankle sprain because of his tightrope surgery a couple of years ago. I know it's just been walked through so far this week, but how does he look?
Yeah, it's he told you that, so it's no secret with it. He's out there, he's doing the walkthroughs. Obviously, we'll have practice today, and I don't know what his status is. I'll leave that to Artis and Sean and all them. But he's a warrior. So I'm never, if he's out there, he's going to be out there because he knows he can perform at the level that he's capable of, to help this team, move the ball forward and score points. So not worried about him. He's a warrior. Yeah, it's great. Speaking of Ronnie, he's played a lot of ball here, right? And he's played a lot of meaningful ball. And the best part about Ronnie, like a lot of our guys, when his number's called, he's ready. He had a gritty 5-yard run, and I know, those 5 and 4-yard runs aren't sexy to the public and the people watching, but those are big-time runs when, it's blocked for 2, and he's able to go get us a few more. Even in the, I date back to the 23 game when Carson Wentz was starting over up in Levi's, the way he performed in that game, just grinding out yards. So absolutely no hesitation when Ronnie's in there to go do our thing. And then obviously Ja, we're fired up about Ja. He's continuing to get better. Obviously he's not out there on Sundays right now, but he puts in a lot of time. You guys probably see it. We're out on the grass for not even an hour and a half, but he's out there an hour before and an hour after, working on his craft, making sure when his number's called, he'll be ready to go. So no problems with that group.
On a personal level, what was it like to see Quentin get his contract extension?
Well, I just found out officially, so I'm so excited. You talk about a guy that does everything right. You talk about everything we want in a Ram, everything we want in a defender. He's meant so much to this defense. He's meant so much to me personally, just in my first couple of years being to DC. So anytime you get guys that do it right, that are great players, get rewarded, it's great to see.
Talked a lot about how much he obviously brings when he's out there. Is there a part of his, is it part of it with him that you can notice him when he's not out there? If you kind of felt the absence over the past 6 weeks?
For sure. I think that's with any great player, and especially him. He does so many things and wears so many hats for this defense, and there's no excuses. But yeah, anytime you lose a great player like that, you definitely feel absence when you don't have him. You feel it when you're game planning, and then you feel it on the practice field all the time.
That's a bit of a departure for you guys, since you've been here the whole time with Sean, in terms of extending safeties. Seems like John Johnson guys have left. They have not been retained. What makes him different and this situation different, do you think?
I think that's more of a question for Les and for Sean, but
you've
I think
experienced it as a defensive coach, these guys not being able to stay in the fold for whatever reason. So to have him to know if you're here going forward.
No, I always want defensive guys to get rewarded and extended and all that type of stuff. So I'm always going to be for it. So, like I said, I think it comes down, Gary, to the whole team. When it comes putting your best 53 together, a lot of things like that. I think there's a lot of other things that go into it, depending on how the roster shapes up. But like I said, I'm just so happy for Q and for Landman earlier in the year, and guys that are doing things right, and extremely productive football players, and all about the right stuff. Just so happy for them.
I know stats are for losers, but the advanced metrics really change when Quentin is on and off the field, particularly in running defense. How does he impact that area of the game?
Yeah, he's just a great football player. He's a great tackler, and he's really physical. I kind of always say he doesn't get enough credit for how physical he plays. He plays extremely hard every single snap. And we're just excited to see him back out there. It's a flexibility. I don't know if, it's hard to attribute it just like a black and white thing, just like that. But yeah, it definitely helps, losing a great player on the field like that.
The
How would you evaluate just the run defense recently? Like early in the season, you guys weren't giving up any explosives. It started to pop up. I guess what's kind of starting to leak in that area?
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's been a little bit more inconsistent is what it is. There's some good snaps, but then there's definitely some times where, obviously the Seattle game and the other night, where boom, they're hitting the big one, and it obviously really hurts us. So, we got to look into it. It's a number of things. It's some of it's technique, some of it's scheme, some of it's a combination, and you also got to give credit to the other team. Obviously, a great back the other night that we had to deal with, and that's what we're gonna have to deal with from here on out.
I know your focus is on the playoffs on this team and this game, but have you begun the process of head coaching interviews or anything like that?
No, nothing besides, what I did this summer and a little bit over the bye week. I think you're always kind of, when you're in this role, I think that's, a chance just based on the timing of when those things happen. You're always going to do stuff a little bit early. But as far as for anything for any specific team, no, just straight focus on the Cardinals this week.
And when you mean doing stuff in terms of your own prep, kind of for
sure.
those kinds of
it's more of
things.
overarching philosophical stuff. Who would you want to, who would you want with you, some of the philosophies on the offensive defensive side, some of the culture things, some of the big picture stuff, not really getting specific into the nitty gritty into a specific team or anything like that.
On Monday, it seemed like missed tackles were a big issue. What can you do at this point in the season to work on that? It's more walkthrough than practice.
No doubt. That's one of the biggest challenges, I think, in the NFL, really for any team. It's not just us. To get, it's hard to get better at tackling when you're not working at it, you're not bringing guys to the ground, and I completely agree with that philosophy. And you just got to keep preaching it, keep harping on it. When you go back to break down the missed tackles, usually they come back to fundamental issues and population of the ball, and you keep preaching on it, and obviously, when anytime great players are in space, it's going to be tough to get them down, and but you got to use great technique, keep your eyes up, and bring your feet and get them down.
What was your reaction to Quentin Lake's extension?
We all found out in the locker room. Everybody got up, started high-fiving him, loving on him, giving him, dap ups, everything like that. Like, that's somebody that, the amount of work that he puts in, what he means to our defense, to see him, get that payday that everyone wants to talk about, it means a lot.
What makes him such a special player?
Not just the things he can do on the field, the defense that he can read, the plays he can make. It's the type of person he is. That's somebody that, outside of here, he'll text people if they're having a hard time, make sure you're having a good day. If anything's wrong with you, he's the first to congratulate you. He's the first one to suffer with you. That's somebody that's I don't genuinely just consider a teammate. That's somebody that's genuinely a friend.
Did you get a miles per hour reading on your field goal return?
My little brother sent it to me. I think it was 20.2, something like that. Nah, slow. That's slow. I got to speed it up. That was slow.
On that field goal return, or on the block, is there something that you saw on tape that you felt like you could exploit on, going through the right side, or did you just kind of force your way through that?
Yeah, throughout the week you always see things that you can take advantage of, but it's kind of the positions that you get put in, whether you can make the play or not. And we just always go hard on field goal as a whole unit. That's our identity. There's not a play that any of us take off. We always try to get back there because you never know when the one play is that could happen or anything like that.
You talked a lot about missed tackles on Monday. How do you work on that area of the game at this time of year when it's more walkthrough than practice?
Yeah, it's just more so keeping your feet. It's more of a mental thing than I think anything physical. It's not like a repetition thing. It's not like a body memory thing. It's just you have to keep your feet. You have to keep running through tackles. A lot of people are diving at tackles. Myself is the number one convict, number one person that I got to take full blame for. I'm jumping at ankles and stuff like that. I just got to keep running my feet because I can still make the play. I got to stop being overzealous.
How would you describe Davante?
I like Davante. Davante's a lot of fun. That's somebody I grew up watching and everything like that. Everybody's watching. I'm hyped up. I talked about him at the lunch table. Had big arguments over him. That's somebody I love. But then when he actually got here, I thought he was gonna be nervous to talk to him. But that's somebody I genuinely talked about it. We have good conversations. If I have problems in life, I'll come and talk to him. We laugh together. All that stuff. I like Davante.
Does it seem like he's having fun this year?
Yeah. I think he's having a good time. He's smiling a lot. I don't know how he was at Vegas or how he was at the Jets, but I feel like he's having fun here.
Did you play special teams in college at Florida State or anything? Were you on field goal block?
I was on field goal block, yeah.
How is that mentally for a guy? You're out there playing defense, going hard, and then it's time for field goals. Mentally, to shift to having to do that and to give out your full effort, is that a difficult transition to make, or how do you How do you make that transition?
No, it's something that I just got to get right into. Like, it's a play that has to happen. I'd rather not be on field goal block. If it was up to me, I'd rather we never get scored on. Like, obviously, I'd never get them in that position, but that's not the way it is. These guys get paid a lot of money. You know, in college, people get a lot of money now, you know, to make to, like, get these, be put in these opportunities to make these plays. So, like, you just got to do it. Like, you got to go full off effort because it's the last play, and you just got to know, like, get back there, do whatever you can, make pressure, because even just getting close to the kicker is going to make him nervous. He's going to miss the kick.
When it seemed like the ball just bounced right back up to you.
Literally right down to me. I was like, I blocked it. I started looking around. It's right in my hands. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gone. I was like, I'm gone.
Any thoughts at all of going airborne over the goal line like you did?
You know, it's crazy, right? I was probably about like 20 yards away, and I was like, I can line it up. I said, hell no, I'm tripping. I'm tripping. That's not happening.
What's the thought process with the peace sign?
It was just, I don't know, peace.
Feel that side? Did you think the flag was going to come out, or were you confident that?
Nah, I got scared. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, oh, Shaw gonna kill me. I was like, it's bad. And then I got to the end zone, I was like, they're not gonna review it. Nah, they're not gonna do it. We good.
It is. It's good to see you guys, though. Honestly, it is.
Quentin, can you tell us about the deal that came together for you this morning?
Yeah. You know, luckily enough, this organization that took a chance on me, they believed in me, and you know, I was able to sign a contract extension earlier this morning, which was awesome. You know, it's something that you dream of, but obviously, you know, we have a more important matters, obviously the game on Sunday and then, you know, our trip to the playoffs. But it was really, I think the coolest thing about it was seeing the reactions from my teammates. And, you know, when you have people yelling and screaming, congratulating you, coming up saying well-deserved, it makes you feel good. And, you know, I'm just very, very thankful, and you guys too, to be a part of such a great organization, such a loving, really honestly like a family, you know. And obviously my teammates are like my brotherhood, but yeah, it was amazing. It was a pretty special moment.
Do you have a sense of how long this was in the works, or when you first thought this extension might come together?
Yeah. I mean, it started, honestly, now I can say it started last offseason. You know, you kind of get an idea saying, hey, you know, obviously you're up for an extension after your third year. So, but it's been a long time. And the biggest thing for me was I always wanted to reiterate that, you know, as long as I take care of what I need to in between the white lines, everything will be okay. And I always wanted to leave the door open, you know. I just wanted to make it clear and honest communication, you know, between two parties. And I'm glad everything worked out. So, but yeah, it's been in the works a long time, but I didn't want that to be any type of distraction for me going on the field and playing. It feels great. It feels great. My legs are good. You know, that's the best thing. Arm feels great. You know, I'm ahead of schedule, but it's not ahead of schedule in any type of bad way. I feel strong. I'm confident in it. I'm throwing it in there, trying to, you know, punch with it and do everything. So it really felt like I was back to normal. Obviously, you know, I'm going to be in a lot of different positions. This, you know, today I was playing scout team, which is cool. But, yeah, I feel real good about it. Really confident.
So the target is for the not for Sunday, but for the playoffs?
Yeah, you know, this week is just to kind of get reacclimated, you know, get my feet on the grass, make sure that my first exposure isn't that week of practice. Because, you know, when I'm out here right now, I can focus on, hey, my technique, you know, focus on all the things that I need to. Because when you get into the playoffs, it's, you know, we're really game planning. It's so specific to what you want to do that week. You know, today and tomorrow I can really get after it and kind of, you know, see what I got in terms of emptying the tank. But, yeah, the target date is first game of the playoffs, and I'll be ready.
The Rams don't have a great recent history of extending safeties. Yeah. And were you aware of that? And how, if at all, did that impact how you thought it might go?
Yeah, that didn't impact it at all. I think for me you might see it, you might understand it. You know, some teams have a philosophy, but at the end of the day, I think, you know, I would just wanted to be a good representation of being, you know, of a man, a player, a teammate, you know, a future husband, all that stuff. Just being a good person. And I think they saw that, they honored it, they respected it, and, you know, that's one of the reasons why I'm here today. So I didn't look too much into that because I knew that, you know, what's the saying? If they want to, they would, you know, and I think that's just the embodiment of it. You know, they bought into me, and, you know, my goal is to, you know, be a captain, lead this team the way I can, you know, help this defense and, you know, win some games. That's it.
What's it like to think back to when you were a high school kid in this area, college kid in this area, and to think like, you not only get drafted here, but you can sign a deal and stay here?
Yeah, I mean, I always knew, I wrote it down, and my biggest thing is, I think I've told you guys this before, is manifestation. And whether it's saying it, whether it's writing it down, just understanding that there's a lot of power in putting it out into the universe. In terms of the contract and stuff like that, that was never it. I just wanted to be the best at my position, the best player I could be, the best teammate I can be, and everything else will fall in line. So that's what I was focused on. I even wrote it down, before I got hurt, was my goals were to be the best in the world. And luckily enough, if I just focused on that, a lot of good things came behind that too.
You've talked about Chris Shula. You've talked about being, a family with this team. How has Chris Shula kind of facilitated that, relationship with you and throughout the entire defense?
Yeah, it's awesome because when I first came into the league, Chris Shula was the DB coach. And, I got to talk to him when I first got drafted. But, you look at his evolution, how we have evolved even in the just 2 years that he's been a defensive coordinator. It's been awesome. And, he's family too in the sense that he buys into us. He wants us to succeed. He puts us in the best position to make a play. And at the end of the day, if we do what we need to, we can trust in him to go out there and, be a real strong defense. And that's the thing I love most about Coach Shula is he really, really believes in the players and loves the feedback too. Whether it's me, Landman, Kobe Turner, Fisk, Verse, all those guys. We have an amazing responsibility and an opportunity to give feedback to him and kind of understand different perspectives, which I love too.
Quentin, what have you learned over the last 6 weeks being off the field?
Man, there's a Bible verse I always talk about. It's Romans 8:18, and it's the pain today is nothing compared to the joy that's coming. And understanding that this game can get taken away in an instant. I've been there before where I've been out of games, and you kind of appreciate what you have, or you appreciate what you've lost with being out. I miss being with the guys, laughing every day. The being in the meetings. But at the same time, you understand that, I was very grateful because it wasn't, I said this when I first came out of surgery too, I said, I can still throw with my right arm. I can still walk around. Unfortunately enough, I couldn't really write because I was in the cast, but you always have to look at what are the blessings in the mishaps that you have? What are the blessings in the tough times? And that was the biggest thing. But now I'm really happy because I'm able to be around the guys, laugh, talk, and like I talked about before, just appreciating the game with everybody else.
A lot of times when players have an injury like this, we just won't see them for a long time. They'll go off in rehab. You've always been around the locker room and working with the guys at practice. I guess, why was that important to you, and how did you figure out kind of how to manage your space?
Yeah, I wanted to stay in the same rhythm and routine, knowing that, hey, if my target goal is to get back to the playoffs, how can I stay on a consistent schedule? When you take yourself and remove yourself out, you can sometimes get lost. And I was like, well, I know my target date. I have an internal clock that I want to do. Let me try and stay in the meetings, go out and practice and see things so that when I come back, I just understand and it's not new. And that's what it felt like out there. It felt like I just came back and I was ready. Like, it felt really good. And I know, in 2 weeks I'll be ready to go, but it was awesome. To me, to your point, it was important to really be out there. Not only that, but, as a captain, too, to be able to support these guys. We had a lot of young guys, a lot of moving parts, especially in the back end, going in there, and they were making a ton of plays. But, it's how can I give them a perspective? They ask me questions all the time, and I just want them to know that, hey, you might see this, you might see that. Hey, do this, do that. And just give them any type of input that I can.
Last one, Gary.
They extended Landman, extended you.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be part of a group that it looks like they're investing in trying to keep together?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I hope every guy gets paid. That's the biggest thing. Because it's not more so the financials. It's just understanding that, man, these people believe in you. They have faith in what you do. You put out a body of work where you say, I see that, the Rams see that, and they honor it, But it's awesome, We have a couple guys, obviously, like you talked about, Landman. I know there's a couple guys coming up, hopefully in the near future, whenever it is. But it's good to be around guys that you've worked with, that you built with, that you sweat and tears out on the field with, because it's familiar. And the more and more and more that we can build this, like I talked about, brotherhood, connection, and communication, I think it will really elevate all our games, So it is important. It's cool. It's really cool.